I'll be back. Hasta la vista. Calculating sidewalk relations. Sorry, John. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Something scary appeared to have happened over the weekend. You can see in this tweet, large explosion near the Pentagon complex in Washington, D.C. And no, AI has not taken over our nukes. It's not Skynet. They haven't launched a war. In fact, that explosion didn't even happen. That's why we've got the X across it. We don't want anyone spreading it as if it happened. It's fake. It's made up. But you can understand why people would be convinced of it. After all, Bloomberg feed there, the Twitter account, has a blue verified check mark that hasn't meant anything in many months, but a lot of people still think it means that this is an official source for information. And Bloomberg is in the title, so it seems like it's news. This is how easy it is to spread false information on Twitter. That image, of course, was generated by AI, and it was rapidly spread by a lot of different accounts, some of which have hundreds of thousands of followers. You've got @WarMonitors, RT posted the image, many other people as well, and a lot of them had this blue verified check mark, which verifies that they give $8 a month to Elon Musk. And by the way, this wasn't just spread rapidly and made a little social media stir. The Dow Jones appears to have dropped 85 points within 4 minutes of the initial tweet. It did rebound just as quickly. So I don't know if there's any lingering damage to the stock market as a result of this sort of information. But for a country that is feared that this sort of AI generated stuff could lead to an overreaction in terms of the news cycle, let alone people being hurt, markets being hurt. This is like one of the early tests of it, Sabrina. What do you think about it?
I think with AI, I mean, granted, like Photoshop has been around for a while. Somebody could have Photoshopped an image to look like this too. But with AI, it's riskier because it's instant and it requires almost no effort. Where we've had to like rely on like Photoshop and like maybe manually editing pictures this whole time, but that takes time, it takes skill, and it takes like the desire to want to like make some sort of fake news thing like this, like literal fake news. It's a fake picture. But with AI, I feel like we might see more of this because there's no disclaimer or anything on pictures that are AI generated. The verification system on Twitter and Instagram now is now like buyable. So I feel like I think this might spark more copycats, honestly.
No, I think that was a perfect breakdown of it. There's nothing about that image that in theory you couldn't have made 20 years ago in Photoshop. You probably could have made a more convincing one because there are still some things that AI has trouble generating. I would say that AI and Photoshop working together would probably be the most effective tool. But as you pointed out, while Photoshop isn't the most complicated program to use, or I use that as a term, like Bud Lighting is now boycotting any kind of image manipulation software. It does take skill, it takes practice, and you can really only affect images that you already have. You can change them, but if you just want to generate something whole cloth, you can do it in 10 minutes on one of these programs. And so we're seeing, like, was that designed just to see if they could get it to be spread? Was it designed to have an effect? I don't know, but I expect that it's gonna be much more common. Like, I'm actually honestly shocked that we don't have more stories like this of like specific politicians. Like, oh God, we found out that Joe Biden was in the KKK in the 1980s. Like, I'm surprised we haven't seen that sort of thing. And honestly, images being produced by AI, I find to be among the least worrisome influences of AI on our country. It's the video that's gonna be, I think, much more persuasive. It's the fake voices that are gonna be more persuasive. When you hear Kamala Harris chanting "down with Whitey" or something, I don't know. It's gonna be stupid. It's gonna be obviously fake, but every right winger is gonna buy it. So that's what I'm worried about, Sabrina.
Yeah, I think AI is going to be needing a lot of regulation as, like, I feel like it's just been growing so much within this last year, especially. So I think there is gonna have to be regulation, or at the very least, like social media websites are gonna have to do a better job and take on some responsibility. I know they're not responsible for like all their content, but take some responsibility and maybe like initiating some sort of like something in their system that identifies AI, and maybe there could be a disclaimer on the post like, oh, AI is this percentage likely in this post, something.
It's tough, it's tough. I mean, you could potentially have it I mean, if it's a coded thing, the issue is always that if you then duplicate the thing, the code will be lost. So in theory, you could manipulate an image. You could put that through a filter that removes it. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this sort of thing. Maybe you could imprint it into the voices generated by these, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a difficult problem.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.